Hi, this is Andrea Kane. I'm here with HIT 352, Health Information Systems. We are looking at Introduction to Information Systems for Health Information Technology, and this is by Sales and Kavanaugh Burke, 3rd edition. Chapter 1 for week 2, and let's take a look. It's Intro to Computers and Healthcare Management. If you are looking at your syllabus, our course objectives for this week are 8.2, 8.3, and 8.4, which coordinates to our learning objectives of 9.2.1 through 9.2.7, 9.3.1 through 9.3.3, and 9.4.1 through 9.4.7. All right, what are our learning objectives for the book? They are to talk about computers and their impact on healthcare, the history of computers in healthcare, what are the similarities and differences among internet, intranet, and extranet as used in healthcare, and what are data analytics and health informatics? How do information systems apply? Under introduction, let's talk about information systems. An information system is an automated system that's going to use computer hardware and software to record, manipulate, store, recover, and disseminate data. That's your basic definition. Technology changes rapidly and skills and knowledge require updating. Boy, isn't that true. How many upgrades have you been through with either your phone or your computer or anything else that involves technology? We're constantly getting upgraded, aren't we? Sometimes those upgrades are great, and other times they cause other things, glitches that need fixes. So it's always a challenge to stay up on it. Data is just raw facts and figures. That's all it is. Information is taking those raw facts and figures and manipulating them into something meaningful. So how did computers get into healthcare? The first way they came in is through financial applications using mainframe computers that were big, clunky old things. They were dumb terminals. And then they started moving from dumb terminals that were just input devices, basically, to personal computers. And this really happened, I would say, in the 80s more than the 70s. It really happened more in the 80s. Then HIM started utilizing computers for abstracting and master patient indexes, or indices, I should say. In the 80s and 90s, they worked on phasing out dumb terminals in most places, at least those that were cutting edge, and replacing them with PCs that actually had wired networking and could do their own computing. And then we added data entry through barcodes, speech recognition, touch screens, light pens, and microphones. After that, it transitioned to wireless devices that were more point of care, and you had what are called COWs, computers on wheels. And from there, all of this started snowballing to create the electronic health record, where you have all of the health-related information on an individual that conforms to a nationally recognized interoperability standard and can be created, managed, and consulted by authorized clinicians and staff across more than one healthcare organization. And that's really where we are now. Although we have progressed further into what is called cloud computing, where you have a system operating on a computer that is owned and maintained by a vendor, and all of your information and data is stored in a cloud, and you go out to the cloud to get it, and you save it back up to the cloud. Then you have the internet, World Wide Web, and then intranet was developed. These are private information networks that are similar to the internet, except because they use that technology, but it's within an organization. It hosts policies, procedures, forums, events, those types of things. And then extranets have been developed. These are systems of connections between private internet networks outside of an organization's firewall, or they're using internet technology to enable a collaborative application that allows those external users to access the information system. So that's an extranet. Make sure that you know the difference between intranet, internet, and extranet. So what are computers in healthcare used for? They are now used for patient care, research, business practices, education, public health, just to name a few. There are so many more uses. They are also used for the actual care provided to the patient, patient engagement in healthcare, creation of evidence-based medicine, creation of practice guidelines like best practices, and for patient safety. I would add to that that they are used for patients to be able to provide information to make it an interactive activity, although that is still growing. Health information exchange. Have you ever heard of those? An HIE? That is an exchange of health information electronically between providers and others with the same level of interoperability. If you haven't already, you will probably, before you are done with your program, read To Err is Human, Building a Safer Health System at least twice, because there are some major significant issues with patient safety and healthcare identified, and that report was foundational. It was essentially walking into a room, turning on the light, and realizing that this room we thought was beautiful, perfect, safe, healthy, happy, ideal, really wasn't. And for the first time, people were able to acknowledge, oh, we have all these issues, and we're going to have to deal with them because they're causing patient deaths. So the EHR was designed to eliminate illegibility, which can be a patient safety issue, provide complete information, again, patient safety issue, and to offer clinical provider order entry, or CPOE. Again, to eliminate that illegibility, to improve the accuracy, and to put warnings in place, all patient safety. Evidence-based medicine is based on peer-reviewed studies, clinical pathways, and clinical practice guidelines. It identifies and looks at, sorry, I need to take a drink of tea, just a second. It looks at patient outcomes and identifies the steps that were in there and says, okay, who has the best outcomes consistently and what are those steps that are used? Identifies those and then pursues getting providers to follow those. Technology is used for assigning diagnosis and procedure codes, managing the MPI, managing registries like trauma and tumor, and all the different registries there are. There's probably 6 or 7 different registries. There's immunization registries, there's, you name it, we'll find it, we'll talk about it. There are organ and tissue transplant registries as well. Technology is used for transcribing documents, although transcription has really essentially gone away. It is now front-end editing or back-end editing. Technology is used for analyzing the health record for completeness, accuracy, timeliness, those types of things, documenting release of information activities, and computer-assisted coding, or CAC. And we will talk about those as well. HIM departments are now mostly working virtually, and that has increased productivity as well as employee job satisfaction. I understand from many of you that one of the things that drew you to this career or this field is that you would be able to work from home. And that's a great thing. I have to admit that as an instructor, I love that a lot. HIM departments have become centralized. It used to be that every clinic, every hospital, they all had their own HIM department and HIM department leaders and coders and all of that. Over the last 20 years, they have really centralized to become that if an organization has 5 hospitals, the department's centralized in one place. All of the information, all the activities really pretty much come out of that centralized department. All of the coders are under the same leadership. all of the release of information. People are under the same leadership. They all have the same policies, procedures, processes, and those types of things. There are advantages, a lot of advantages to centralized departments, but there are also a handful of disadvantages. And I have lived it both ways, and I can tell you about both, and we'll probably will as we move on. There is a change in skills that are needed. As technology changes, our skills need to change to stay up with that. And as processes change, we need to change as well. And that changes roles too, and how that impacts us. So as the HIM profession, as part of that, we need to be aware of health information systems and how they're going to impact us, whether that's our skills, our roles, how we work, where we work, what we do as work. Health informatics looks at knowledge, information processing, and communication. Pardon me. I've been talking quite a bit today and I need to stop. It's used in healthcare practice, education, and research. And for more information on health informatics, look to your textbook, okay? Go through there. Data analytics. Let's look at an example of data. 33% of patients have commercial insurance. That's just a fact. That's just a raw fact. That's data. 33% of the patients who have commercial insurance, okay, so we have 33 that have commercial insurance. This is a 2% increase over this point last year. That now becomes information. The 33% is just a matter of fact. But the fact that it has increased 2% over this point over the last year now makes it of more interest and more actionable, so to speak. So data analytics is the science of examining raw data with the purpose of drawing conclusions about that data so that you can act on that, or that you can report that, or use it for education, or use it as a baseline for measurement or benchmark. There are people who are certified health data analysts. So categories of data analytics. There's descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. And I'm gonna, sorry, let me go back here. I'm gonna go back and point you back to your book to talk through those and review those. Data mining is extracting and analyzing large volumes of data from a database for the purpose of identifying hidden and sometimes subtle relationships or patterns, using those relationships to predict behaviors. So with data mining, what you're trying to do is you're trying to see, are there trends here? And if there are, sorry, I had to pause. And if there are, you want to be able to identify what those are and how, and use them. Can you predict future from that? Predict the future from that. Dashboards are taking all of those measures and reporting those so that leaders can follow progress and assist with strategic planning. They include key measures and graphics. Descriptive statistics, that's statistical information that describes the characteristics of a specific group or population. Then you have inferential statistics. That's a technique that allows researchers to make generalizations about a population's characteristics. And then you have predictive modeling, which is used to identify patterns that can be used to predict the odds of a particular outcome based on the observed data. So make sure that you know these terms: descriptive statistics, inferential statistics, and predictive modeling. And if you're not sure about those, check your book, Google, and make sure you have a specific example of each of those that you can share. So that is it for Chapter 1 of HIT 352, which is week 2. And I will be back in a little bit to talk to you about Chapter 2, which will be on information integrity and data quality. But in the meantime, take care, have a great week, and stay healthy and well.